Hey, it's the Wealthy Expat here. In this video, let's discuss why the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, where I live, I have my business, I have my bank accounts, I have my ties to, why they might raise taxes all the way up to 15%, potentially 20% or more. Now the tax rate is absolute zero. I'm going to talk specifically about corporate taxes because personal income taxes, the ruler of Dubai and the UAE said that there will be no personal income taxes, but they are implementing a corporate tax in 2023. How this might develop, what countries they might be modeling, and what sort of tax structure are they going to have moving forward so that they don't get blacklisted by other super high tax countries, specifically like the European Union countries or Canada, Australia, or the US. The first thing to discuss is that the UAE is going to add a corporate tax rate starting 2023. This will only apply to mainland companies selling directly to UAE customers. Typically, we recommend our clients start a free zone company, a 0% tax free zone company. If you want to get your taxes down to zero, you want to escape a high tax country, you just want to lower down your taxes dramatically, you just start a free zone company, you lower down your taxes to zero, and you're pretty much done. You don't need to pay corporate taxes, you don't need to do business in the UAE, nothing like that. But if you want to do business directly in UAE, then you need a mainland company, and mainland companies will be taxed at 9% if you're going to directly give services to UAE residents and citizens. Now this 9% might go up to a level of around 15%. This is just my hypothesis. I see the UAE having some sort of agreement with other countries such as Singapore. Singapore, if you read into the tax law, they have a specific clause where foreign sourced income to Singaporean residents isn't taxed as Singapore as long as the headline tax rate of the foreign jurisdiction from which the income is received is at least 15%. So essentially, if you live in Singapore and you're a Singapore resident and you want to set up a company somewhere else, and that money is coming from that company, as long as the tax rate in that country is 15% or more, then it won't be taxed again in Singapore. So the UAE might be thinking, okay, all these Singaporean residents that have a lot of money, a lot of people have flushed into Singapore and also flushed out of Singapore during this whole situation around the world, specifically because of their tight restrictions. A lot of Singaporeans left Singapore and they were calling me and saying that they want to move to other places. But now that the restrictions are a little bit more loose, people are going back into Singapore. So the UAE is maybe trying to establish some ties to some of these countries where they say, okay, if you're from Singapore, you can have a company in Dubai. Since the tax rate is 15%, you won't pay tax in Singapore. So pay us the fees to start a Dubai company, run your Dubai company, there's no audits, no financial reporting, nothing like that, and then you can do whatever you want. And the UAE makes a lot of money with the fees, with the visa fees, with overall how to run your company in Dubai. You need to essentially pay the government a lot of money. If you're a high net worth entrepreneur, if you make 10 million, $100 million a year, if you're worth 30, 50 million, like one of my clients from Finland, you don't really care about $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in fees if you're going to pay 0% tax. But the UAE, based on all the people that are moving to Dubai and the UAE, they are making a ton of money off this. So what they might be saying is, okay, we're not a zero tax country anymore. Our top tax rate is 15%, our headline tax rate is 15%, to basically pacify all these other countries that are calling them a zero tax country, all the countries that are putting them in gray lists or blacklists, or they don't want to be banned from banking with other countries because they're a tax haven. So they might be doing this play where they allow other people from other countries that are residents in other countries have companies in UAE in order to satisfy this rule. The second hypothesis that I have is to obviously not be in the blacklist, not be in gray list, not be sanctioned by other countries that think, oh, people are going to the UAE and Dubai because they want to pay zero tax, they're tax dodgers, they're doing something illegal. And the reality is most people that come to us here at Wealthy Expat that want to work with us, they're legal people. They've never done anything bad in their life, and they just want to move to a zero tax country where they don't pay anything because they're tired of giving their hard-earned money to the government. Well, if you're one of those people, you can move to Dubai, but your country is probably going to think that you're just tax dodging and you're moving to a tax haven, a little tax island. And the UAE doesn't want that reputation. They don't want to be that zero tax haven. They don't want to be that tax country that has absolutely no taxes and you can do whatever you want. No, they're adding more restrictions. For example, I just saw this headline today that they're adding more tax auditors starting in 2023. And Emiratis traditionally work very slow. They are pretty inefficient, to be honest. Most of them in the government, they're slow. They don't work long hours. So don't expect these tax auditors to be like the tax auditors of the IRS or the CRA, where they hunt you down. I don't think this is going to happen at all. I know the UAE. I've lived, many years in the UAE, and I know how the system works, I know how immigration works. They're not going to hunt you down for your money. That's for sure. So first of all, they're going to appease these countries that you can have these laws where you have a company in UAE and you can pay 0% because of that tax rate. They also appease the countries that are sanctioning them and putting them in gray list and black list. And what they might also be trying to do is just have a Swiss cheese tax, where essentially you have this top tax rate of 9%, 15%, 20%, whatever it is. But in reality, nobody pays that below that rate. Nobody pays 15%, nobody pays 20%, they all pay 3% or 2%. And they might be modeling a country like Malaysia. Malaysia has a 24% corporate tax rate, one of the highest in the world, and you pay a ton of corporate tax rates if your company is based in Malaysia, doing business in Malaysia. But if you establish your company in Labuan, which is a tiny island, which isn't that developed, which isn't a place that you probably want to start a company, but you can pay 3% in Labuan. So the UAE, what they might do is they might say, okay, it's 15%, 20% corporate tax rate, but if you establish yourself in a free zone in Dubai, then it's 0%, or it's 1%, or it's 1% or 5% or 9%, but you don't pay it if you don't sell to UAE customers. Or you can deduct as many expenses as you want. You buy a Bugatti, deduct it as an expense. And that's essentially what they said for the tax coming in 2023. You can deduct as many expenses as you want. Most businesses won't pay this, only the businesses that are doing business in the mainland. That's what I see happening with the UAE. They don't want to be a zero tax country. They want to have better ties to other countries. They want to not be blacklisted, and they want to follow a model just like Malaysia, where the top tax rate is really high, but in reality, nobody pays that tax rate. And everybody is situated in special zones in Dubai where they pay absolute zero. I think this is what is going to happen. I've analyzed the market. I've analyzed the UAE a lot. I've analyzed other countries and other tax rules and other tax laws. And I think this is what's going to happen. There's going to be a tax, but nobody's really going to pay it. You're going to be able to incorporate in a free zone in Dubai. And Dubai is probably going to be the special economic zone, or the free zones are going to be the special economic zones where you pay absolutely no tax, no VAT, absolutely nothing, as well as no personal income tax. And they might implement a personal income tax at some point in the next 10, 20 years, but by that point, it might be 5% or 10% maximum. They're not going to implement a 40%, 50% tax rate. They know that if they implement that kind of tax rates, people are going to leave the UAE and leave Dubai. So I highly recommend still Dubai for many, many people. Most of our clients are getting set up in Dubai because it's the best place to go if you want to pay absolute zero. If you want to get set up in Dubai, you want to set up a free zone company, you want to lower down your taxes to 0%, just like I've done through Dubai, click that first link in the description, book a one-on-one call with me and the Wealthy Expat team. Let's see if we can work together, and let's see if we can help you set up in Dubai, move to Dubai, move your assets to Dubai, or at least set up a company so you pay zero tax through that, and you can also nomad around the world depending on your particular lifestyle and situation. Click that link right now and check out this video right here that shows you the exact process to set up in Dubai. It takes about 30 to 45 days, everything included, what you will go through and what you're getting yourself into when setting up in Dubai. We can obviously help you with all of this. Check out the video right now, subscribe, hit that notification bell, the like button down below. I'm the Wealthy Expat, and I'll see you on the next one.